Wee.
Okay, and we're live. Hooray!
Huzzah!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Get Right On In. My name is Andrew, for those of you who do not know, and today I am joined by Jashana and Neeks for my 8th round of Readers versus Writers, which is a little show that I have monthly here on my channel where I bring on one reader and one writer to discuss various topics. And the versus is not as intense as it sounds, but it could get a little saucy because today we are talking about traditional publishing versus self-publishing. So I'm sure we have much to say. And I would love to hear from Neeks. Tell us a little bit more about you and your channel and your writing journey.
Hello. Well, I'll start with my channel. I haven't uploaded in a while. I apologize. But if you follow me on TikTok, there's lots of uploads there. um,
This is
as
good.
for writing, I am currently querying my first novel. Mucho exciting. It's on an R&R right now. Revise and resubmit, and I might keep querying. I don't know. I'm kind of one of those people that's like, I hope this one person is the one because I don't want to do this again. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. So yeah, and I like to read. So
Yay. All right, Jashana, even though you're the celebrity here,
Okay,
who
whatever.
doesn't know who Jashana is? Tell us all
Nice.
about you.
I am Jashana. I have a BookTube channel. I've been on BookTube for 4 years now, I think. I do post quite regularly. I am not on the book talks or TikTok in general at all. It's for the youths. I'm too old. I'm just but yeah, I read a fair amount. But I write a little bit, but I do not consider myself like a writer currently.
Boo.
I consider you a writer.
Thanks.
Everyone considers you a writer except for you.
I
guess.
And Niece, how's the writing journey been for you? What's it been like crafting the book that is now, in R&R stage?
It's been fun. I have the best critique partners on the planet, I'm convinced. Becca and Kelsey, if you're watching, I love you. Uh, but it's been really fun. The hardest part was obviously like structure, because I think when we read books, we're not really thinking about like, oh, there's the first plot point, there's that midpoint, blah blah blah. Like we're not thinking in that technicality, but you have to when you're writing. So it's been fun. I love it.
Have you found that once you started writing your own book, you do start reading books like that? Because
Yeah.
that's what happened to me, and it almost, in some ways, like ruins the reading experience sometimes because you have to get so technical. And you're just like, how come they got away with doing this? But when I do it, people always tell me that blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I do that. I do that a fair amount. I'll be like, how did they get away with not even having a midpoint turn? This is ridiculous. But then you start thinking like, oh, well, if they're revolutionizing structure, then maybe I can too. So
Yeah.
I think writing is becoming this thing where people are like, we want something new instead of the same old, same old. So maybe, that whole whatever act structure you're using is going to be outdated in a year. You never know.
Yeah. And I do think that that's part of the reason that indie publishing has become such a thing these days, just because sometimes I think all of us writers just don't even know what the publishers really want.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it seems like the publishers don't even really go for what the reader wants. And so it's so much easier to just like produce your own work. But Jashana, do you have any preference as far as like reading an independently written book versus like a traditionally published? Can you tell the difference?
I mean, I want to say yes, sometimes yes, but also sometimes no. I don't know. Obviously, like I can usually tell the difference because typically, if it's an indie book, they're reaching out to me like, "Hey, could you do you want to review this book? Like, I'll send it to you." And so, like, I know that it's self-published or indie published. And I mostly do read traditionally published books. I don't typically accept like that type of thing, like someone just reaching out to me, like, do you want to read this? Unless it's like a friend of mine or someone I really know, but just like random people, I don't really, because that's a whole thing to get into, like reviewing it and how I feel about reviewing it. And it's like, I think we've talked about this, Neeks, a little bit. I know you've talked about it like on Twitter and stuff, and I've probably like engaged in the conversation maybe. The discourse. But like because it's like I want to give them a little bit more leeway and leniency, but I don't want to be patronizing or like, oh, the poor little indie author. Like I don't want them to feel like that. But like the truth of the matter is that 99.9% of the time, if you're self-published or indie published, you don't have those resources available. All of the editing and all of the extra work, the marketing, all this and that goes into it. And primarily like the editing. Even if you get one editor, like maybe it's someone who's not that experienced because they were a little less expensive and you couldn't afford like a super expensive, very, very experienced editor. And it's not that like, oh, the editor was terrible. But like I said, maybe they just weren't as experienced. And then I can see it in your book, but I'm like, I don't want to fault you super deep for that because it's not as like a lot of traditionally published authors, if they didn't have all that stuff backing them, they might put out a similar product.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for that reason, I don't accept a lot of it because too, with traditionally published, like I'll go in if I don't like something, if it's like traditionally published book and whatever its popularity is, that popular, not that popular. But if I don't like it, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I don't like it. I'm trying not to be like super mean. Like I'm not calling authors names or anything, but I'll say I don't like it. Because I'm like, my little pipsqueak of a channel is not going to like bring down this author's sales that much.
You don't
like,
know that.
It does have an impact. It can influence people to buy or not buy, but like not that many people. I don't have that much influence. But with an indie author, I think number one, you just naturally will have a little bit more influence because their audience already isn't as wide. And then also, I think there's a stigma where people already look at indie or tradition or self-published as like less than. So then if I'm here like, yeah, it wasn't that good, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm not even going to pick it up. Whereas if it's traditionally published and I say I didn't like it, they might be like, well, I'm still going to try it because I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm going to put up some comments here really quick because I agree here. I like some traditional books are definitely just as bad, which is where part of this debate these days comes from. And then here from Caitlin, we've got publishers going off metadata rather than paying attention to what readers want.
Yeah.
And then she also says that traditional publishing is a joke now, as someone who left at that gated hostelry after working for 16 years.
Yeah, that's a thing too. Like, there's so much more, I think.
Ooh, and I'm a pervert. Lovely.
Oh my God, is Adolf alive?
Blockity block.
Hello. And then hello to you.
So
I'm
random.
super happy that I'm like, hold on, I need to get rid of this person.
Yeah, just totally trolling. That's hilarious.
I love it. This has never happened to me before.
Oh, it's happened to me. There's people that go on and just search for a currently like open live of whatever and just troll. Like that's what they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's the thing too, is like with traditional publishing versus indie publishing, I think there's absolutely, from what I've seen, more diversity in self-publish or indie publish because there's not so much gatekeeping and like the marketing stuff.
Yeah. There's a
into it.
Well, let me backtrack. So a lot of someone mentioned in the chat that some trad books don't even get edited that well. And I do want to mention there's no industry standard for editing. I don't know if anybody's aware of that, but there isn't like a course or a benchmark to hit with editing. So you don't know who's in these publishing houses editing your book until it's out, you know? And that's it's kind of the same for indie self-publishing books. You don't know who's editing your book until they send it back to you. Yeah. And that's unfortunate. But also during that discourse, Jashana, you actually made up like a while ago, I forgot when I made that tweet, but you made a really good point about like cost to self-published authors, and editors are expensive for good reason and for great reason. But because there's no industry standard, I think some self-published authors, I can't speak English today, they don't want to take that chance without realizing that you can go self-blind to your own writing at some point. So it's complicated. And that's I'm
Yes.
super excited for this conversation because it is complicated.
Well,
Yeah, I definitely think it's complicated.
Neeks, since you are choosing to go down the self-published, or not the self-published, I'm sorry, the traditionally published road, can you talk a little bit about your decision to do that?
Yeah, so a lot of it did come down to cost. With self-publishing, there's a lot of upfront costs. So
Mhm.
you're doing editor, you're doing your own cover designer, and who knows how many rounds of that you're going to go through, who knows how many rounds of editing you're going to go through. And then for that editing sector, you have the four categories of editing, which I'm forgetting one, but it's like developmentals, copyright, another one and another one. I'm dumb. But yeah, see, that's why I can't do it. I forget which ones to get to. But then with trad, it takes way longer, but you basically get a whole team of people, and your
Right,
book is going to go through industry professional eyes several times over. I
right.
think it was Tomi Adeyemi who said her book was edited 41 times. That's 41 times going through her agents. She had two at the time, and then she had however many editors during that process. So that could have been, let's just take a rough estimate at 25 times of someone reading Children of Blood and Bone 25 times through each and every time. And that
Yeah,
book is like 500 pages. So so that was a large part of it, having a team. And then also the cost, because I personally with my 113,000 word manuscript cannot afford an editor at 3 cents a word. So
Yeah.
no, I feel this here from Read, Love, Listen to. I mean, that's
mhm.
pretty much like where I get stuck a lot of times as well. I mean, especially if you have like an epic fantasy that's pushing like closer to 200K, and it's just like, oh, you want me to pay you how much? Like, I would
Wait a
love
minute.
to do that,
You
but
mean in United States dollars?
Yeah. USD here. Yeah. And I mean, I've definitely read like some self-published or indie published works where I'm like, this is super polished.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like the effort was there, right?
Yeah.
Like someone put in major effort to make this as polished as can be. One of my favorite books of the year, and most surprising books of the year, because it was middle grade / younger YA, and I typically don't like that, is from an indie author. And I've read from him before, but
Mhm.
this was my favorite one, was this one. And yeah, I can tell that like it was very polished.
Are you talking about
But
Orisha's?
yes.
Yes. It was
TJ
so
Young.
good.
Yeah, it was super cute. It was like so cute. I just liked it. Yeah. But
I fully agree.
yeah, and then yeah, I don't know. It's like I just get nervous, like I said, because I don't want to unduly harm. But then it's like if I like it, then I could really help.
Yeah.
And I go back and find like,
It's
again, my channel isn't that big to make
It's
much
big,
of a
stop.
difference
But
one
if
way
you
or the
like it, you
other.
like it, and if you don't, then you don't. But I do also agree here with Sylvester about, I mean, even what you were saying earlier, Neeks, like the beta readers, the critique partners, like getting as many eyes as possible
Yep.
on the work, even before you start pitching it out to editors or trying to get it edited, because you can do a lot of cleanup work,
Mhm.
just having other opinions on it before.
Yeah.
Before, yeah.
How many for your book, how many beta readers did you put it through, Andrew?
Which book?
Well, let's go with your
That's where
first
I
one.
get stuck. I have like 9 books that have all been read by like multiple people, but
Holy shit.
I just lack the funds to do any self-publishing, and then I lack the courage to try to query it out to anybody, because I get stuck in my head of like, when is it good enough to start querying at all? You know what I mean? And so I have a lot of people, Caitlin, if she's in here still, from the writer Uninterrupted, she knows exactly the one book that I'm currently talking about, that she's just like, just put it out there. I don't care, Andrew. I'm just like, I'm sorry.
Just do it. Just go for it. I will tell you funny querying story. So as the Leo that I am, I finished my first draft, and my critique partners were like, wow, this is really good. And they gassed me up really hard. That's what they do. What they failed to tell me was that maybe you shouldn't query your first draft. No. So I did to like one of the biggest agents in the industry. And she sent me back 2 pages of like I can't rep you right now. This was also a read and review. But because the agent that I sent it to is in the same agency, I couldn't send it back to her. So I had to choose. That was a very scary moment for me, but I chose. But she sent me back 2 pages of really like helpful notes of what she liked, what she wanted to improve on. So querying can be really helpful if anybody in here is scared of querying because you think that it's just going to be like super harsh rejection. The agents will take the time to help you. They're very kind. They are humans too. So that's often what I hear is people being like, I just don't want to get hurt. And I'm like, the whole industry is pain.
Yeah, it's all pain. I didn't get told that either. I actually queried what you've read, Andrew. And yeah, first draft though, but like having been edited, but like just on a first one time. And I queried it like a dumbass.
No.
But I did get also like people were very kind. And I got a couple being like, someone requested a little more and then was like, I'm not right now. I can't, but like, this is what you have going for you. Work on this. I was like, oh, they're very nice.
Yes.
That's like super helpful. Thanks.
They're like writing angels.
Yeah. Exactly.
So what are your end goals with that book then, Jashana? Do you want to try to get that trad pubbed, or do you ever want to continue on in your own self-pubbed?
I honestly don't
now
know.
You're a big time YouTube star, so you should be able to
I don't even have 5,000 subscribers. That does not count as a big star.
That's a lot.
In the booktube sphere, that's like sort of lower middle. I'm lower middle class in booktube.
No.
I'm kidding. But no, I don't really know. I feel like I'll probably try to go traditional publish. Mostly probably just because I'm lazy. Like I gotta do all this other stuff. I don't want someone to do it for me. But then I also am a control freak. And that is like one thing too, that I've heard people talk about with choosing to go traditional publishing or self-published is that with self-published, you obviously have so much more control over what your cover is going to look like, what gets cut from the book or added or what themes or whatever. So I don't know. I'm kind of a control freak. If someone wants to give me some cover that I think is hideous, I'm gonna have a problem.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I agree with these comments here about, the covers in general. And I was going to segue into that topic next as well, because I like the idea as well of being in charge of like everything, like from start to finish, and having the final say and all of that. But then also some of my imposter syndrome comes back around to be like, how do I know I'm good enough for the final say? Like, how do I know what I deem is best is actually best? But then I channel my inner Beyonce and I'm like, it's because what I say goes.
Exactly.
I don't like the lights, change them.
Somebody's getting fired.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all, I don't know. It's a lot. Yeah, that's another thing too with traditional. It can take so long.
But it also, like, when you have a book that you wrote at 18 and you're sitting at 32, and then you're still just like in the same boat, I feel like it can take just as long as self-published as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're lazy like me, because I've had that thing written for God knows how long. And have I written at all recently? I have not.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with, and then this too, about the royalties.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because with traditional publishing, like you could be a bestseller and you could make a fair amount of money, but even that can take a while.
Yeah.
Market though too, because like traditional market, I feel like you're still in charge of your own your own marketing. I feel like they just give you. Like the validation is really what I think traditional publishing comes down to these days. Because like I just had up on the screen here, but he was saying about publishers who would say like, I don't like this in here, or you should add that or this or that. Like books get changed so much once they get into the publisher's hands that sometimes it can be just so far away from what the author wants. And then it's a whole conundrum of like how to navigate the system. I've been caught in it myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But there's just so many pros and cons.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier, Andrew, about how that aspect of control. I forgot exactly what you said, but you mentioned how authors publishing, like the higher ups in publishing, will often not care about what readers want to see, and
Yeah,
that often changes a book that was probably brilliant to begin with, and
Yeah.
suddenly it's just nothing like its first draft or the idea of the first draft in the first place. So
right.
that's a huge thing. And I don't know if either of you were, Jashawn, I think you were. There's a scandal around Cinderella Was Dead where someone messaged Kaylin Bayron and was like, this would have been better with less characters of color. And
Yes.
Kaylin was like, what?
Yeah.
Pardon? And
Yeah, I did see that.
yeah, I'm sure there was a person up in the upper echelon of the publishing offices that put out that book that were like, would this have been better with less people of
Yeah.
color? And
Someone's
luckily
saying
they
it.
didn't change that, but yeah.
Yeah. It's wild.
Mhm. It's crazy.
Do you know anything about this?
Plus, aren't they?
Vance's being.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that.
Oh, okay. So advances are weird. So
Yeah.
let's say let me start with the sad case. As we all know, N.K. Jemisin is a fucking genius. Oh, can I curse?
It happened.
I'm very passionate about N.K. Jemisin.
I'm glad it was you and not me.
I'm surprised it wasn't you already, Jashana.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
N.K. Jemisin is a genius. Okay, she is brilliant. You know, she's won 3 Hugos in a row. Like no one has done that in the history of the Hugo being a thing. And her advances were 25,000 for I think the entirety of the 100,000 Kingdoms series. I forgot what that one's called. Or Inheritance.
Yeah, the Inheritance trilogy.
Yeah, it had a 4th book. I think it's a saga now.
Oh, dang.
But I think that's that dragon book by. Anyway, that's not the point. So she got 25,000 advance for that series. Now, obviously, that's basically 25,000 stretched out for however long she's writing those books. So I think that roughly works out to like 4,000 per edit she turns in or something like that. But normally you'd get a bigger advance, and it would be like you get a check on your first turn in, a check when it's final, a check when it's getting ready to be pushed out, and then another check, and then you get royalties after your book has made you personally like $50,000, and then you get a percentage after that. I think that's how it works. Now, the problem with advances is that someone mentioned this earlier, publishers use like metadata. So they'll like search the internet for anyone asking for X book with X trope with X blah, blah, blah. And they'll bounce it against other books that they've put out with that same sort of like trope and character type and XYZ. And then they make the advance based on that. So let's say Jennifer Armentrout is a hybrid author, but I'm going to use for an example. She made sexy book with characters who don't make sense. Okay. So then they'll bounce it against, they'll be like, okay, other sexy book with characters that don't make sense. So this many copies in this amount of time, we'll give her this advance. That should work out for us. So she has that advance based on her edits, her turn-ins, and publication date. And then she gets paid after that. Well, she gets paid during those times and then another check at the end. So yeah. Did I explain that? I feel like I just got jumbled in there.
No, I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. For sure. You bringing her up just made an idea or a thought pop into my head too. Because I've never read anything of hers other than the friggin' From Blood and Ash.
That's the title.
That whole thing. So she's been traditionally published before, but I thought I heard that series is self-published.
It is.
And I'm like questioning how much editing like, is this why you wanted to self-publish now? Because you wanted to just put all the words in there that we did not need, ma'am. And so having been traditionally published, like, didn't like necessarily help her if she wasn't gonna do the work. Like, that's the thing is, like, I feel like with self-publishing, like, as long as someone is putting in that effort, like, it can easily be as high quality. And if a traditional published book doesn't get that much effort, it can easily be like on the lower quality side with editing and stuff. it just all depends. There's so much that goes into it on either side, you know.
Mm-hmm. And the funny thing about her is that her books are quite the cult, book right now, right? Everyone's read. Well, I haven't read all the way through because I hated it, but that's not the point. I didn't hate it. I just didn't, it wasn't in my mood when I
Yeah.
started it.
Yeah.
But she's amassed quite a following. She's released
Yeah.
4 books, right?
3
Now?
in that series.
3.
I don't know how she's had so many before, but I don't know.
Yeah. So, but I that one's self-published, and I'm wondering, obviously what she put into it up front wise, like editing wise, cover design wise, XYZ. What did she do herself? But the point is she's doing very well for herself on that series.
Regardless. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can make a lot of money with self-publishing. Yeah. But she's also got the marketing behind it. And I don't think that a lot of self-published authors get that, unfortunately.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen a fair amount. Yeah.
Marketing.
I feel like I've seen a fair amount of like traditionally published authors like later going to do self-published.
Mm-hmm.
And it's obviously easier then because you do have you have an audience
mm-hmm.
already at that point, right? They've seen your traditionally published stuff. They liked it enough, and like, yeah, they'll follow you and they'll buy the self-published stuff easily.
Yup.
And then they learn that they prefer the control.
Yes. But some people go self-published to traditional because it just takes the load off.
Yeah.
Like Evan Winters, he wrote Rage of Dragons, and it was such a hit that agents were like, no, we need a piece of this pie. And Fires of Vengeance came out.
Which I did not read because I did not like the first one. It's fine.
I haven't gotten all the way through the first one yet, so I have no opinion as of yet.
It's my most disliked video.
No.
The fanboys are not happy with me. It's fine. But yeah, I read it actually when it was. I read it when it was self-published. It was. I read it on ebook when it was a self, and then like promptly after he got picked up, and I was like, oh dang! And then everybody started talking about it.
Okay.
But, I mean, more power to him. You know, good for him. Good for him. Yes.
Very nice guy.
Seems like it. He blocked me on Twitter, so I don't know. But he seems nice.
He's super nice. He sent me the sequel.
Well, that is nice.
Yeah.
I almost was going to check it. I almost was going to check it out, but then I was like, I feel like I just wouldn't like it, and I don't want to purposely read something that like I don't think I would like. You know.
I mean, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. Like no one can. It's not like you disliked it like for a bad reason. Like I couldn't relate to the character.
Yeah. They weren't a white girl in Michigan. I don't understand. Oh Lord. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like with reading, like when people reach out to me, like I said, I'm just nervous because if I don't like it, I don't want to.
I'm in that right now. I accidentally I accepted a couple of books from a very small publisher, and they sent me the summary. Because before they were like, this is going to be like this book and this book that I really like. And I was like, oh, snap, send that to me. But then they sent me the actual book and I read the summary and I was like, this is not like that.
You lied.
You lied. And now I have to read this and hope for the best.
Fingers crossed. Publishing in a self-published anthology with other authors.
Oh, I like that.
That's cool. I like that idea.
Did I read it correctly? What do you... Yeah. I happen to like that. I think it's a great way for them to all spread harmony.
Yeah.
Well, and like to pull like, because I think that's the thing with anthologies in general is like, oh, you're a fan of this author and now you might discover this author. So like pulling each other's audiences. So
and coming together like that would probably, like make cost better. I actually have carried on.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. With Vampires Never Get Old. That anthology by Zoraida and Natalie C. Parker, Zoraida Cordova and Natalie C. Parker. That one was really great. I had never read any V.E. Schwab. I know I'm a basic bitch. And then, but I read her story in that and I was like, oh, okay. I see what the hype is about. Cool.
Nice. Yeah, I don't read a lot of anthologies personally, but I read Dominion, which was like an African diaspora, There was a whole long name, but Dominion was like the main title. And that's where I discovered Suyi Davies Okungbawa, because his was one of, I only liked really 2 of the stories, and one of them was his. And I was like, oh, let me check some more out from this guy. Nice. And then I read David Mogo Godhunter. It wasn't a self-published, I don't think, but I like that idea though for self-published authors to do that.
I was going to say I have an anthology from all self-published authors, because I was on this author panel one time, and one of the authors that was on it had this in his little marketplace. And this little anthology actually went on to inspire said earlier mentioned book that I was talking about that I wrote that Caitlin says I should put out into the world. Something good can come from an anthology, because this is actually really well done. Nice. I forgot that I had it. And then
would you both do an anthology?
I would do an anthology, yeah. My problem is that every time I try to write a short story, it turns into a novel. So that's what happened with this. I was reading a bunch of short stories. I think there's 32. There's 30 in here. And so I read 30 short stories. I was like, I have a short story idea. And then 110,000 words later, I was like, it's not such a short story.
It's a whole book.
Whoops. That's a book.
And I need to know what happened.
It's hilarious.
It happens. Authors can either only do short stories or they can only do novels. Yeah. Unless you're like really good. Like those super experienced authors, they can do both. But like,
thanks, Caitlin.
See, now start an anthology. People are already volunteering.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
I know.
Their first instant. Oh yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like Daniel Clayton
in here too. I'm glad.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, I don't think I don't know. I would have to try to write. I remember in school whenever we had to write like a little short story for like English class, and then mine would turn into a book, and I would have to ask the teacher like, "Can I do extra work though? Because I want to finish it." We're like, "Sure, I guess." Like, okay.
Nerd.
Yeah, basically. I remember I wrote a pirate story. It was a diary from a pirate, and he got marooned on an island. I don't know where.
Immediately.
I think I have it somewhere.
Flex your little skills over there. Bring all that back.
Yeah, my little pirate diary.
Your earlier videos on your channel have all your little writing tip videos.
Oh, I need to go remove
Don't
those.
do it.
No.
I love that. You remember when I went on my Jashana binge? I was like,
yeah, you did. You were commenting on it.
What are you doing at this video right now?
Yeah, it was from like 4 years ago. I was like, stop.
You're still the only channel that gives me that let's talk about your poop ad.
Oh, yeah, the ads?
Every time I watch Jashana's channel.
It's weird ads.
And she goes, let's talk about your poop.
Not me. I don't say it.
The lady in the ad, but she always interrupts you while you're talking.
It's too funny. Oh man. And I feel like whenever I do someday decide to like try again to put my writing out in the world, I feel like I probably would do self-pub. And I think mostly because I'm at a point now where I've always, like, since I was 4 years old, I was like, I'm going to be an author. Like, that's what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be an author. I'm going to write books, make my living off of writing. And I don't know, I'm like 35 now. And not that that's like old. I joke and say I'm old for BookTube, but like, I know it's not actually old. And that a lot of authors don't like get into their groove until their 40s or 50s or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I'm still just like, is it realistic that I'm ever going to like have my living be writing? Probably not. I don't know.
And so stop you from trying.
Yeah,
I know. That's why I'm like, I'll probably try, but I feel like I would do self-published probably just because I think I'm a control freak a little bit.
You think you're a control freak?
Listen. Okay, stop.
Not just on a roast time? Okay.
No. It's not. Oh, Lord.
But yeah, I honestly think self-pub is harder. And I feel like because of the stigma that it has, people are probably thinking people are like typing at their computer for a day and then being like, yep, that's it. That's good.
Well, that's
But, I
because
mean-
some people are doing that.
Yeah, but you can tell.
I
Like
know.
you can tell
I
when
know,
someone.
you definitely can.
But don't blame everybody for those
Yeah.
people. You know, I'm reading a story right now from a self-pub author of whom I found on TikTok because that's where I'm now just finding people who indie publish on TikTok.
Nice.
And she wrote, "The time I got drunk and saved a demon," and brilliant title. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's basically about this young woman named Cinnamon and her. I mean, the plot is actually like very interesting. So it involves a goddess, and she's not really a goddess. She's a lich, and she's been tricking everybody, and she's making the demons crazy and kill each other. It's very fun.
Nice.
And it's not. How do I say? Have you ever watched Gallivant when it was
Yes.
on?
Mm-mm.
It was this fun show where it, like, made fun of it, merged like old timey English and like modern language. So they'd be like, you know, "Get lit, my lord," and then
And then they would sing too, like randomly.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
and I
And
can't
it was
believe
like little 20-minute episodes. Yes, it was fantastic.
How funny.
it was amazing, and it was
think
cut
it's on
short too
Netflix.
soon. And the book is very much that vibe. So it'll be like, you know, like something in old timey English and like a large word, and then like, and so I cut the bitch, and then so I was just, like, sitting here laughing my ass off, and it's very fun and it's very like original, and I loved everything about it. And then I went to go check the reviews, and people were like, "This is shite writing," and like,
Oh,
"What is
geez.
even this language?" and blah blah. And I'm like, "It's language. Why are you this way?" I think
Yeah.
some people are just pretentious.
Why are you like this?
Why are you like
Yeah. Some people are just very pretentious. And I think that's the thing too with like the
Mhm.
stigma with it. Like I was saying, like as a reviewer, I understand I do have some level of influence of like people being like, that sounds terrible or that does sound good. I'm going to pick it up because you liked it. And I think we have similar reading tastes, Jashana, whatever. But there's just too many people that have that pretentiousness with, oh, it's self-published, it must be terrible. And it's like, I mean, like someone said, and you can self-publish, not everyone can self-publish well, but like a fair amount of people can. And just because it's self-published doesn't mean it's bad. Like another surprising book I read this year, this is one of my faves. I read Guards by Terry Pratchett, or not Guards. I didn't read Guards. I'm drunk. I read Mort. I want to read Guards. I read Mort by Terry Pratchett, obviously very well-known, whatever, series author, etc. And then promptly thereafter, I read a self-published book that got sent to me, The Magic Fix by Mark Montanaro. And it was such Terry Pratchett vibes. The writing, the authorial voice, the plot and the story and everything wasn't anything like groundbreaking necessarily. It was like a quest, and there's like fae and giants and, you know, your typical fantasy characters happening. But oh my gosh, the authorial voice. I was like, this is like Terry. It's like funny and witty, and I'm cracking up, and like this is so great, and I want to read more from this author now.
Yeah.
So you can get some really great gems, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say I see that I don't read a lot. I've been reading some fantasy romance lately because I'm doing a whole like trying to find what I like and don't like, and so much romance in general. I've seen people say that indie romance and self-pub romance tends to have a lot more diversity in the authors and the stories being told and everything.
Yeah, and even with the horror books, Caitlin and I were actually just talking about this the other day because I was looking for, oddly enough, agents to query my horror novel out to, and that was when we got into the topic of like, just do it yourself. Because I was like, quit, like agents aren't really looking for horror these days. She's like, no. And then even earlier, I think it was Mr. Rosa, he said something about horror books earlier on that I definitely was agreeing with as well, but I don't know where it is. But yeah. But yeah, oh no, right here, this one from Iron Man of Books.
Yeah,
traditional published books feel more like thriller books, and I would agree with that.
Yeah, like a suspense thriller versus like actual horror.
Yeah,
I would think. Which I don't read any of that because I am a baby.
I just got White Smoke. I'm terrified to read it, but I'm going to do it for Tiffany D. Jackson.
It does not look like a scary book.
It's very like Get Out. So you know, on the
like
surface,
psychological.
Yeah, like very ooh, but I do think there's a haunted house involved with like an actual ghost, not just like a
Oh.
psychological break.
Oh
So
no.
I'm excited, but I'm also scared because my friend said she now can't use her phone alarm because of this book. So I was like, oh,
Oh
hold up.
god. No, thank you. Sounds terrifying. I can't handle
I have
it.
to do it.
To Jashana. That's to who?
Except I don't read it at all. Like
But they want you to. That's the problem. They're like, oh, you're scared here.
I hardly ever pick up anything thriller or horror. Like anytime people talk about suspense thriller, I'm like, I've read Gillian Flynn. That's it. I can't.
Yay.
That's all I got. And then people who read that are like, ew, Gillian Flynn. I'm like, I liked them. I don't know.
White Horse. Yes, Sylvester.
Oh yeah, it's young adult, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I was like, okay, because
There's not a lot of
Mexican
that.
Gothic scared me.
Yeah.
What scared you?
Mexican Gothic by
I
Sylvia
haven't
Moreno
read that
Garcia.
yet. I have a copy, but I haven't read it yet.
Read it. You will never look at mushrooms the same.
Well, dang.
Sounds intriguing.
It's very, I love
What
it.
kind of mushrooms will I never look at the same again?
Any?
Ever.
Any?
Any.
You're
You're gonna be like, I would get the mushroom
comments.
burger.
Does not require much talent to write YA.
Oh, I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with
right,
that.
don't you, Jashana?
Huh?
Wasn't your book a YA book?
It started out that way, but then she's older, and I want to rewrite it, and
Yeah.
I think I might rewrite it with her older.
The story I'm querying, I started that like thought plot line when I was like 18. She's now 26. So like she had, as I got older and got a degree, she got older and got a degree.
Weird how that happens.
Weird how that happens. But then like the character's not even me in any kind of way, like literally might be my younger sibling at this point. Almost exactly. So
Nice. That's funny. I love it. Yeah, it's all very, I don't know. I go back and forth with like whether I want to accept like reach outs from self-pubbed or indie pubbed authors that I don't already like know or have read before, because I've gotten some where I'm like, yeah, sure, that sounds cool. Like if someone reaches out like, I have this horror book, I'll be like, no, because I don't read that. So I probably won't like it. So anyway. But like someone was like a high fantasy and it sounds cool. And I'm like, oh yeah. And I get all excited. And there's been a few times where I've started it and I've been like, I kind of want to DNF it and I don't love it. And so, but I don't want to like, and they'll tell me like, no, whatever you say, like your honest thoughts, it's totally fine. And I'm like, I feel bad. And like I said before, I don't want to be like patronizing and like, oh, you poor little baby. Like they're not babies. They can handle it, but I just don't want to like unduly, I don't know, do negative damage to their like potential audience that they could have. So sometimes I just will quietly like let them know like, oh, it wasn't exactly for me and I don't want to.
But at the same time too, like if books only ever have positive feedback.
I know.
Everyone thinks that it's all fake anyway. You know?
Exactly. I mean, I definitely
It
don't
needs
always
a
say
little bit of a
positive.
mix of someone who's like, not really my thing. So like people know that the good comments can also be taken seriously.
When I have talked about some on my channel that I didn't love, like I think I do try to be a little more diplomatic with self-pubbed than I am with traditionally pubbed. Or those I'll be like, oh, this is stupid. This character was so annoying. Oh my God, they're the worst ever. And then with like a self-pub, I might be like, this character wasn't to my taste exactly.
Yeah.
But here's what they're about. Maybe you'll like it. Like I'm just nicer, I feel like.
Not like we were with Interview with the Vampire.
No, I didn't like that. I gave it like 2 stars.
I DNF'd.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I also
very proud of you.
I know. I think that's still the only book this year that I have DNF'd, and I did it with you.
Andrew has shot someone's dreams down. Oh,
what dreams did I shoot down?
I don't know.
What's your dreams down, Andrew?
I thought that was Caitlin when she was talking about how they call YA authors shake and bakes.
I don't like that explained. YA is like the biggest genre age group right now.
Well, but
I mean, YA is definitely like more.
Throw all the tropes in the bag, shake it up, publish it, and as long as all of the ingredient boxes are ticked off, no one cares.
Okay. Okay. No argument. I will say,
YA
I
is
will
definitely
say,
like more digestible, I guess. As I like to
guess?
call it.
I
Like,
don't know, because The Taking of Jake Livingston, if either of you read that, I really love that book. It was rough on the
well,
heart.
yeah, not digestible like the content. I
Yeah.
necessarily because I've definitely read young adult where I'm like, this is like a lot.
Yeah.
Holy crap! Like I've one of the only books to make me sob, like genuinely sob, was
Mhm.
young adult, and I was like, I can't. Oh my god, Dear Martin. Oh my god, I just
Still
Oh,
never cried in a book
yes.
before.
God, I was like
I also
full
don't really
on
like YA myself. I'm not a big YA
crying.
reader.
But usually, like the readability. I mean,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah,
readability of it is more digestible. Like talking
I
about
agree.
your girl N.K. Jemisin. I think I'm not smart enough because her books thus far, I'm like, hey, this is a lot to just read. Like, it's not even crazy concept necessarily.
No.
Very interesting concepts, very interesting premises, and I'm like, why does every sentence feel like work?
Why
Too
do I need
dumb.
another degree for this? Did you read We Became the City?
No, that one I don't think I would like. I don't know that I would like it.
It's a very hard book, not like subject matter wise, but the
Yeah,
way she's a genius. Like her
yeah,
brain is in space. So
yeah.
she's writing these sentences and from this one character's perspective who is an actual genius. So I feel like NK just let her brain loose in this character's perspective. I would sit there like with a highlighter, like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Got it. Moving on. Okay. I felt so inadequate every time that character
Hilarious.
popped up.
Yeah, I just DNF'd the second one in the Dream Blood, the
Oh,
Shadowed Sun. Was that the second one?
very, very intellectual
Yeah.
series that I don't know what happened.
I don't either.
The first
That's why I
one,
was like, I give up. I give up. I
I was
can't.
like,
I'm done.
Did I say
Oh,
that?
that's why
tried that
you
one.
killed the dreams.
Did
Because
I
you were
say
like,
that?
well, because you were like, you don't want to have too many positive things, like so, because then it looks fake.
Right.
Blah blah blah. So I was saying, like, yeah, I'll be less than positive, but I'll be nicer about it.
We're just trying to say honesty goes a long way in reviews.
Well, yeah, I know, and I'm very honest, but
But I definitely don't say to forget their feelings.
F off, 2 stars. You're too nice for that.
I am way too nice. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that this didn't click with me. I just feel so guilty.
I feel so bad.
But I just really didn't like it, sort of Kaigen. I was not a fan of
Is it like sort of Kaigen?
Oh,
No.
everyone loves that.
No, I know. See, that's my problem. I was like,
That's still self-published, right? Or did that get picked up?
That got picked up, I think.
did it get picked up?
For the second book is the second
Okay.
book, like Rage of Dragons and the Fires of Vengeance. That's what happened.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so. Don't quote me. Nobody
I've
quote me.
never read N.K. Jemisin either, but
Don't
Try it out.
start with the ones I started with.
No.
okay.
Start with 100,000 Kingdoms because that's like a fun, sexy book, and then
Yeah.
and then you can go. That one has Daddy Nehadoth, Nehadoth Daddy, if you will.
Oh,
And then
I have those books.
get those.
I just haven't
Those are
read
fun.
them yet.
That's like sword and sorcery, like gods and goddesses.
Yeah.
And fun stuff. But then the one Jashana was talking about is called the Dreamblood Duology. The
It's
first
a
book
lot.
is okay. You will make it through no problem. The second book, however, again, N.K. Jemisin is a genius in here. So when she writes, it's like she wants to challenge the reader. Okay, we all have to be geniuses with her to get through that book.
Yeah. I was not. I didn't have the extra brain capacity to sit there and be like, what? I don't.
What is
I was feeling like it was feeling tedious. So I was like, I just need to stop. I just need to
Yeah.
stop. Can't do it.
Yeah, there's a second book. Miss
First
Gilman.
Sword of Kaigen? Oh, yeah. Isn't it out already?
Yeah,
Wow, is it really?
I haven't
forgot the
read
title,
it.
though.
I haven't read it, but.
No, don't quote me, Sylvester. Undo.
Undo.
Undo that.
No, please. That's so funny.
Oh.
Have you, Neeks, how many like finished manuscripts have you like written? Have you finished? Have you completed?
This would be the one I'm querying is my first one that I finished and actually
Okay.
spent time editing and like
Okay.
put love into, and it was very exciting.
Nice.
But I'm working on another one now, and it's difficult to put that love into something else because it's like
Yeah.
I only had love for that one series. But how about you? Are you like a serial writer who doesn't query? Is that what you're doing?
Well, no, I have like the one book that I finished and then got it edited. But then I decided I want to rewrite it
No.
like entirely. I don't like the POV that I did, and like I just so many things about it where I'm like, why did I write that? Jeez, because literally I started writing it in 2009 and I finished in like 2015, 2014. So it's been a minute.
You wrote it at the height of like dystopia time.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And it's like it's like an urban fantasy.
Okay.
With like mythological Greek mythology and powers of death and stuff. But I don't know the name of the series. The Sword of Kaigen?
Yeah, sorry, I was just looking it up too, so I just came back because I don't think that it's a sequel that's coming out to Sword of Kaigen.
I thought there was. I think
it's different.
Oh no, I don't. I think when I watched Q and TG's video, they were like, "We want something else in this universe, but maybe not a sequel." Maybe
it's this Blood Over Bright Haven is her new one, and it's a novella that she says that it's a vastly different era from like what we know. And that she's not trying to push it hard with fans of Theonite, the Sword of Kaigen, or the serials like Seven Forsaken. But she's doing something new.
Fancy. Cute.
Oh.
But yeah, I have another like book idea that I've started like drafting or whatever, but that's like a high fantasy that I haven't really, like I said, the last few years, I don't feel like I can really say I'm a writer because I never write. So
pish posh. I'm gonna bully you into writing.
You should. Please do. Both of you. My editor actually, Julie from Pages and Pens. I don't know if she does it anymore.
Oh.
But she has a book that is self-pubbed that is coming out, or indie pub, whichever one, coming out. I pre-ordered it the other day, and it sounds really fun. Hey. There's fairies and fae, and it's high fantasy and such.
I want that to make a.
But yeah, she did my editing.
Oh, nice. I think if anybody in here is looking for an editor, just find someone who can back up what they say. Mm-hmm. You want to find someone who can be like, I worked on these books. And then go read those books just to make sure. Yeah. My friend Chelsea, who runs Melanin Library, she also does editing. She didn't edit my book before I queried it, but she did read through it, and she was very, very nice about it, but also very, very honest. Okay, you want to make sure your editor is not blowing smoke up your backside. Very important, because if your stuff is bad, you want to make sure it's then made good.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to be open to like the critiques as well and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because
not the time for thin skin during the editing stage for sure.
Mm-hmm. I had to like prepare myself to like read through her notes. Like,
yeah,
it's fine, and then like
this crash, but it's fine.
Yeah, and then like. The couple of, not couple, but like the good things she was saying, I was like, I kept having to like go back to that. Like, no, she said this too, Jashana. Yeah. Okay. She said this over here is trash. I mean, she didn't literally say it's trash, but I heard it that way. I read it as this is trash, and now I need to go remind myself. She also said this.
While you're ahead is what I hear, critiques. Mm-hmm. What are you even doing? Do you even know how to write a sentence?
Do you know Word?
How are you paid to write on a daily basis?
Oh man.
But no, that's very important. So please, because Chelsea will tell me horror stories of people who are like, how dare you tell me to put a comma here? Okay. Like
it's literally my job, but all right.
You asked me to do this, so I'm doing it.
I was actually going to do editing, like freelance editing. I went and I got like a certificate of editing. Like I did a whole course. I have a degree in writing, which is really funny that I'm like not writing at all. Like I got a whole degree in this and whatever. And then like, I got an editing certificate. I had a whole LLC. I was going to do the whole thing. And then I did it for like 6 months for like a few businesses. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm over it.
Well, Oh
Story of my
God.
life.
Yeah.
For
Mine too.
Seamus.
For Seamus. I think I have too much imposter syndrome to be an editor.
That's
I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about.
I think you're actually overqualified.
What?
I said imposter syndrome is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a super awful thing.
It very much is. Not a fan.
But I do think you're overqualified. So
I don't know if I am. Because that's the thing about being a reader too, though, is that like I've in school even because I've always been an avid reader as well, and in English classes I would always do really well with like all the grammar and all of that, and my friends would be like, well, how come this is this, or how come the sentence structure is this way, and I would just be like, because it is. Like, I don't know how to explain the grammar and the punctuation. I just know what's correct because I've read so much and seen it so many times, but I can't really explain a lot of like the parts of speech and all of that. I'm like, I don't know. So that's why I feel like I don't feel qualified to tell other people what to fix in their writing. I'm like, I don't even know how to explain it.
I say pish posh.
I understand. I understand.
But now that you mention that, because again, with self-publishing, you can just hit enter and it's in the world. And some people, and I don't mean to say this from a place of class or elitism or privilege, but we do have to understand that in America specifically, a lot of people don't get past the 3rd grade when it comes to like reading comprehension.
Yeah.
Therefore, writing comprehension is very low. So I think editing is one of those things where it is expensive, but you need it because grammar is not natural, right? We have so many different dialects in this country.
Yeah.
And therefore the punctuation and how we say things and how we line sentences up is very, very weird.
Mm-hmm.
Between North and South, East and West, so forth and so on, right? So I think that's why a lot of people get really mad at self-published books, because you're seeing, in some cases, an author's very raw writing.
Yeah. Yes. Put it out in the world raw.
Very raw sometimes.
Yes. And like 95, I think, so someone explained it to me like this. Your first draft is literally you telling the story to yourself.
Right.
And that's great and all. But then if you want other people to read it, you now have to formulate your writing in a way that communicates those ideas that you just told yourself to someone else. And that's where like draft 2 through however many comes in.
Yeah.
Many, hopefully. Well, like you said before, earlier, Neeks, like you become blind to your own writing. So like, yeah, and it's just like I said, I have picked up most of the self-published books that I have read, it's like they haven't been like terrible and like this is garbage. Why did they even publish this? But there have been a few where I'm like, I feel like this could have used a bit more polish before you put it out, but like, whatever. And sometimes they're just not for me, and that's fine. And that happens with traditional published or not. But frick, now I lost my train of thought. What the heck was I saying? What you were saying earlier. What did you say earlier? Oh, about being blind to it. But like, I still don't remember what I was going to say.
Are you drunk, Jashana?
I'm not. I swear.
A bottle of wine before you came out here.
I swear I'm not drunk. I was just working. I don't drink while I'm working.
Maybe you should.
No one believes you now.
Whatever. I do say that at work all the time, though. That's my like phrase for like, I don't know what I'm talking about, or I'm confused. Is like, I'm drunk, or like, am I drunk? Did we talk about that? Am I drunk right now?
Is everyone?
I always have to tell people like, I'm not actually. I promise. I don't remember what I was going to say though. Something about publishing. That's
well, that is the topic at hand. So I'm glad that you released that.
You were saying that even with traditionally published books, sometimes it's not for you.
Yeah, but I had a thought before that I lost.
Well,
I don't remember. Sylvester.
I want you guys to know that I made note cards for this live.
Oh, did you?
Nice.
Hey, you were ready. Do you have any note cards that have not yet been covered?
Yeah.
No, I think we basically covered everything. Maybe not in the order that I wrote it, but definitely.
While you're looking here, Jashana, you
I know, I saw that.
She's at 0.12. She's too drunk right now.
Too drunk. How dare she?
She's also
On the day of our Lord.
4'5", so she doesn't have much,
Amber, I am 5'1", sir.
like this and this 6. I really one day want to just make a video with you and both of us stand.
We will someday when I go to San Diego.
Yes.
Or when I go to Phoenix.
And when Neeks moves back to Arizona.
I'm trying, girl. I think I'm moving to Richmond. It's just a thing.
I don't think that we did talk about this. What do we think about this? Going wide versus just publishing on Amazon.
Oh, okay. So with traditional publishing, when you are going to a global market, which is what I hope you were referring to by wide, you don't retain all those rights all the time. So again, like with self-publishing, where you retain every single right possible, even when you go to a global market through Amazon or through however you're going to do it, through your website, if you're getting it translated, you still have rights to that book. I think this is why it's so appealing because like Jashana and like Andrew said, that control is so important, especially when it comes to shmoneys. So
my dollars.
Yes, those USDs. But traditional publishing, if your book goes to like be translated into Portuguese, you might lose that, and your publisher, who does ostensibly own your book at that point, will get the money and you won't. But it all depends. It all depends on your agent and how much of a hold they have in it for you. Amazon has way too much market share in this. That's very true. But they're so fast.
I know.
It's so annoying. It is very annoying.
But yeah, I hope I explained that. It's getting your rights, and like when you go to traditional publishing, you are now married. You're married to that publisher, and if you guys ever divorce, that publisher's going to take the house, the car, the kids, everything.
Yeah.
So be in good standing with your agent at all times, and make sure your agent is fighting for you every step of the way, because the publisher will eat you and not blink.
Well, I also think part of this question that he's asking is about when self-published authors have Kindle Unlimited, whereas like if you publish on Kindle Unlimited, then you can't publish like through any other like Nook, any other type of ebook. But I think that's.
Is that true?
Yeah, if you publish through KDP, you can't sell anything else. It has to be Amazon only.
Oh, is that
if you put it like on Kindle Unlimited and stuff?
Oh.
And so you're like, I think that's part of what he was asking is about like being trapped in just Amazon or like going down different avenues.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, that sounds awful. Why would you do that?
Because then Amazon gives you, Kindle Unlimited, and like you get to be all of that. I just wish that like I've said this a lot of times on this channel, and I'm just going to keep saying it until it happens. But I think that more indie books need to be available in libraries and things, or like accessible in bookstores outside of just like Amazon and outside of just like the online retail sellers, because I don't know. I just think that would make it more accessible and start to at least give it some more credibility as far, they can be more picky about what they bring on, but bring on something. Come on.
I agree.
Well, there's like, it's with all the like rights and everything, it can be so weird. And like one of my favorite, I'm pointing, you guys can't see it, but one of my favorite adult high fantasy series, The Legends of the First Empire by Michael J. Sullivan, who's like a pretty well-known author. He wrote the Rhaeria Chronicles, Rhaeria Revelations, whatever. The first 3 books were traditionally published. It's a 6-book series, and the final 3 books he self-published because there was something wonky with his like audiobook rights or something. It's on his website, but something weird happened where he basically had to self-publish the final 3, or like because of how it worked out, it just made more sense for him, and like that's what he wanted to do. So he did that. But yeah, so the first 3 books in the series were a different publisher than the final 3.
Okay.
Which is weird. And then so now you can't get some of the books, like people, because I did the read along for it, and some people were like, I can't find the book anywhere. And I'm like, oh no, you got to go to his website and order it from him, like from his website. It's not on like Amazon or whatever, which is just very weird.
In an ideal world, I feel like that's how it should be done. You should order it from the author, but like,
Thanks for coming. Sorry, I just wanted to.
Oh, goodbye.
Thank
Have dinner. Oh, long live the cookout. Yes, agreed.
Anyway, carry on, Neeks.
I forgot what I was saying, but
talking about that ideally that's how it should be, like buying it directly from the author.
Yeah, I think like in a perfect world, you could go on like an author's website and like, you know, get 2-day shipping on their book, and then they would get all of the monies, you know, like that'd be cool. But unfortunately, like then the author would have to have a garage full of their book and ready at any time and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's also complicated.
Not always feasible.
Yeah, it's way too complicated.
Which I love. Which I love that it's complicated, but also I wish that the traditional side was a little bit more open, and that they took care of authors at every level, because you have like the dying mid list, for example, which could be so beneficial to keeping people engaged and like getting more diversity of authors out there and diversity of stories. And it's just like they let the mid list die, and they're only accepting these $1 million book deals and the authors that come with them, and it's just like killing the industry. So I get why a lot of people are self-publishing now, and like traditionally published authors are now hybriding because they don't want to have to deal with that.
Yeah, for real. And I think something that's interesting to me too, because like the marketing, like you're talking about, they'll back those big, huge names, but then they're like not doing as much for those other ones. And I think that's, like you said, a big reason a lot of people are self-publishing. But in today with like all the social medias and stuff, I think that's another thing too, is like, I think a lot of authors are realizing like, maybe I don't need you, because like at Barnes and Noble, the little book talk table, a few of those books that are on that table are self-published books, but they got popular enough where now Barnes and Noble is like, oh, snap. Okay, well, we'll put them in our stores. And I just wish stuff like that could happen more for more self-published authors to get like that even wider audience, I guess.
I agree.
That's another check mark in traditional publish, because they have like an automatic pipeline to distribution.
Yes, exactly. People are going to see it at the very least. You know what I mean? Like more frequently, more people and more frequently are going to see it on some shelves somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah. That's just the facts.
It's the facts of life.
The facts of life.
Do you know the answer to this?
No.
I don't actually know the answer to this.
I do.
Do
they get their rights back? So your rights, whatever rights you negotiated at the start of your contract, are the rights that you have for forever until that contract runs out, whichever the date is on your contract. Whatever the contract says is what it says. But once you earn out, so that means you've earned your advance back in sales. And some authors only make like $1.20 off of each book that's sold once it's released. So that could take forever and a day. So once you earn out, that's when you earn your royalties, and your royalties will literally never stop unless your contract says otherwise. And that's how you make your money. I think Victoria Aveyard has a really nice explanation of this on her TikTok, where she I think she even talks about the numbers for her books. So that's really interesting as well.
Nice. It is very, very interesting. I didn't realize like so much stuff went into all of this like years ago when I started looking into it, like maybe I'll actually like have a book published someday, because I actually finished one finally, and I started looking into all of it, and I was just like, it's a lot. It's
really overwhelming.
A lot of information on either thing, whether you do self-publish or traditionally published, like there's just a lot to consider, a lot to learn about.
Publishing. Do you want a big publisher? Do you want an indie? Because then you can get an indie publisher who's not part of like the big five. And then it's like, are you really even not self-publishing anymore? Like,
we need more indie publishers, though.
We do.
Yeah. For sure.
Please live, indie publishers. Please live.
Give our indie lots of things, I feel.
Yes.
Survive. Please survive. I think that the Antoine Bondelay, the TJ Young and the Orishas
Mhm.
author that I've read a fair amount. Well, I think I've read basically everything he's written. But I think he has an indie. I think he publishes other stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just Bondelay books. But pretty sure. Whoa, what is that noise? Is that mine? Thing? What is that? Oh,
Right.
Is
is it you?
I don't know.
That was so random.
It was so random.
Just out of nowhere for no reason. Anyhow, but yeah, I think his is like an indie publisher, small press, whatever. Yeah, we need more of those though.
A lot of self-published authors will start their own like publishing company.
Yeah.
What I want them to do is all of them merge, right? Merge into like just a cluster of them, maybe like people who are writing fantasy make their own little indie press, you know?
That'd be cool.
My friend and I were
Unionize.
talking about doing that.
Yes.
We had what was our name? Jovian Gemini Press was our name.
I love it.
Because I'm a Gemini, and her nickname is Jovian because it means Jupiter or some shit. So I just did that. I couldn't. God,
Do you not swear on your channel? I didn't realize that.
I don't really know. Not that I
so
don't really care. But so the Jovian planets are Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune.
Oh, okay.
I
And
like
so
that.
Jovian Gemini was our little thing.
I like it. Do it.
Do it.
Maybe I will. Who knows?
Do it.
But also maybe you
I'll add
won't.
it to the list of things I wish I could get done.
As you slump down in your chair.
It's all the pressure.
This pressure you put on yourself.
You just put that on me.
You do it. Don't even try to lie to me. I tell you. Goofy.
So okay, Neeks,
Working on it.
did you have anything on your note cards?
Oh, yeah.
No. So my note cards were labeled. There was why choose traditional publishing, and then there was why choose self-publishing, and then there was which is harder, and finally,
I like the emphasis.
who gets paid more. Those were my categories because I feel like those are the main questions people have when they're trying to pick. Does NaNoWriMo actually help you complete anything? For me, no.
Me, yes.
I've never successfully even completed a NaNoWriMo.
I have successfully completed Nano
written
4
every day.
times.
Oh man, you're so much more disciplined than I am.
I mean,
Motivated.
I don't know.
Because you're an earth sign, you can actually focus.
I'm an air sign.
We're
Is
fire.
Gemini air?
Yeah, Gemini's
Yeah,
air.
yeah. Oh, I'm confused. See, because I'm an Aquarius moon, and I always thought that was a water sign until I was like 24. It's not.
It's not?
It's an air sign.
Oh, I didn't know that either. We'll learn something new every day.
Yeah.
I'm total fire sign with my sun and my moon.
Are both Leo?
Leo and Aries.
Oh, I'm Leo sun, Leo rising.
Oh, look at you.
Of course.
Gemini sun, Aries rising, Taurus moon.
Oh, you are stubborn.
I am stubborn. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. I'm a Cancer rising, which I don't see, but
That's just why you're so difficult to get along with.
me?
No.
Whatever. I am the easiest person to get along with.
But I think that even if you don't complete Nano, like the whole point of it is really just to get yourself into the habit of writing every day.
Yeah.
And so I think outside of like looking at trying to finish 50,000 words in a month, it's just looking at it as like, I need to make at least 10 to 15 minutes per day, every day, just to write something. Jashana.
That's the part I've never done successfully.
Terrible.
You just need some discipline then, Jashana.
I don't have any, okay? I've accepted my laziness.
I definitely think that it's like at least a good experience to try. I just don't think that I get sad when people get hard on themselves for not finishing, because I like, that's really not the whole, because if you win, nothing happens. You know what I mean? Like,
you win $10 million.
Yeah, like nothing happens. You don't get an agent or an editor, like nothing.
Yeah.
It's really just for you. But
that's why I don't successfully complete it, though, because I'm not hard on myself. I'm too easy on myself.
You need to be hard on yourself. You just need to be disciplined, Jashana.
No, that's why in school too. Like, man, I was not disciplined. Like, I studied long enough. It's fine. And then fail.
It's done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think that it's something worth experiencing at least once.
Yeah,
should make an attempt.
You should.
Yeah, that was how I wrote. I've written 4 books through Nano.
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
I've all been through more than one round of revision as well, and I enjoy all of them.
You're just so motivated.
Bringing it out.
Sometimes I know. Well, I'm motivated to just write and leave it on my computer, sitting there.
No,
that's more than I've done. So
I'm bullying you both from now on.
All right, Neeks. Well, now that we've come into each other's lives, I'll bombard you with my manuscripts.
Yes. No, seriously, do it, because I'll read them and I'll be like, I like this. Please query it now.
Like this.
query it immediately.
Query it immediately. Even my friend that I was going to sign up, or that we were going to open up our little press, she works at a literary agency, and she was just like, you have no idea the kind of crap that I read, Andrew. Like, submit your shit.
No, seriously. Like, there are things that come across these agents' desks that are bad. You can't, if you don't think it's bad, then just do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Well, we'll see.
Just do it. You have to, when you send it off, to be like, this is the best thing they're going to read all month. So I'm confident about it. That's how I looked at it.
Like, I'm awesome. You got to channel your inner Leo energy, Andrew.
I don't have any inner Leo energy.
But you have Aries, and that's good enough.
There you go. Exactly.
Yes, I do have my Aries.
The confidence. As
I doesn't even believe in any of that. Surprised she knows her rising and her moon sign.
What?
I said,
surprised I know?
Yeah, I'm surprised you know.
It's just because all my friends, everybody cares about it and is all into it. So I've known. I did my whole birth chart and everything. Yeah.
I still think we're Leo Virgo cusp, but then we get into the argument over whether or not cusps.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do know that this one girl I knew from high school lied for like 10 years that she was a Leo, and turns out she's an actual Virgo. And
dang.
So someone was like, I thought you were a Leo. And she was like, no, I never said that. Turns out she is just a liar. So it's fun.
Just a dirty liar.
Just a dirty liar.
Yeah, I'm right at the end of Leo, the 22nd.
You're on the cusp.
Baby.
I definitely have Virgo tendencies sometimes.
Yes, you're a cusper.
With organization of things. If anyone watched my reading spreadsheet video.
Yeah, I did. And I was like, what?
There's a lot. I'm like, I need to organize everything all the time.
So you can make that reading spreadsheet video, but you can't write a chapter.
Yeah.
Shade.
Listen. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm telling you.
There had to be some shots fired in here outside of just being bad authors.
Right. This should have just been called authors behaving poorly, because that's what's happening here.
Bullying each other about writing.
Yeah.
That's my job.
Like, why don't you write more, bro?
Do you even type, bro?
Do you even know?
No, I do not.
Hey, look, PJ says your spreadsheets are awesome.
Yes.
Oh, hey, PJ, what's up?
I'm definitely not saying that they're not awesome. I was just teasing.
I didn't even know. Oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. I saw PJ's comments, but I didn't register that it was PJ. Sorry, PJ. Oh my gosh. I am the worst.
No, you are the bestest. Okay, but here we are at the end. Maybe. I don't know when the end is, but we're at.
I feel like, I don't know.
We're about at the end.
Say, yeah, if anyone had anything else to say or ask in the comments.
Yeah.
But what were you about to say? here we
I
are.
was gonna say, now that we've kind of gone through some of the pros and cons of each, do you guys think that you'll change your decision of what you thought maybe you'd go for, or
I'm still
where's your
getting
brain?
screwed.
Gosh, whatever.
No.
I go
mean,
back and forth.
like,
I just flip flop all the time of like, yeah, I think I'll self pub, and then I'm like, nah, I go traditional. I don't know.
yeah.
So I'm not really sure.
I feel like, especially because I literally do have 9 different books to choose from, there's so much of me that just like, I want to experience both. Like, I have enough material where I can try this, I can try it out this, but then it just becomes, so what do I want to do first, and which book is going to be the first one that I go for?
Yeah.
And then that's when I get back to like, what? But I have to have this like conversation with myself about, you're not allowed to write any other books until you do something with at least one of them.
There you go.
Because I did self-pub. I did self-pub in 2014, but that book is no longer available.
You revoked
that to your advantage.
You revoked it from the world. Yeah, I think I'm with Pete there, that like I lean more towards that just because I'm a control freak.
The good thing about covers though is that they're the cheapest part of like making a book. I feel like it really, like a good graphic designer does not cost like that much in comparison to like the editing and the marketing team.
Yeah,
it's that goddamn editing or GD editing.
Yay. Self-pub all the way here. Pete, I'm with you, but I think you should start writing again. Pete, you've already been on this show too.
Another person bully.
Don't read it. Just go burn it.
Just go burn it.
I literally, like, after I started my channel and people started buying that book again, I was like, no.
Stop immedially.
So people would buy it. I told them not to, so I'm just like, now it's no longer available for sale. So
I love it.
I
feel like eventually I'd probably do both too, like just to dip my toes in each and see.
Yeah.
Especially because I'm not trying to like make it my income necessarily. I don't know. That's also something I've learned about myself, is that I require financial security and stability in my life to feel at peace.
Yes.
The creative endeavors, like I just can't like rely upon it. It stresses me too much. I'm not cut out for it.
Understood.
Not someone cut out for it.
Ooh, burn it in the video for me. I would love that. I would watch that video. I'd be like, set it on fire. I mean, the cover is on fire already, technically, because it's kind of a fireball. But I mean, when you review it, it's just awful. I've come so far.
There you go.
He can review it for as long as the book burns.
Do a whole thing.
Oh, I want a beautiful cover, and most pre-mades don't have the vibe I want. Yeah, that's also a thing with self-publishing. Also, like, some artists make it so you cannot change their artwork for the cover, so you have to watch out for that. There's just a lot of rights being exchanged with self-publishing.
Yeah.
And I'm a person who would be like, hello, please refer to my agent for all things that I don't want to talk about.
Things that I don't know about or want to learn about.
That's my approach. I just want to do the creative stuff. Please, someone else take care of all of these logistics.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, there's definitely a major benefit to that, for sure.
So
for sure.
I'm pretty solid in my decision. I think that I would be happiest with the contemporary fantasy that I want to be my first book. That one I'm going to be very happy to have traditionally published, but like I have all these other ideas that I would definitely prefer to self-publish, because I'm like, they may be a little out there, and that's fine. So I'll do my like normal stuff, traditional, and then everything else self-pub. So I like the idea of being a hybrid, just because.
I think that I feel like we're going to see more and more people doing that. More and more authors doing that as it goes on.
Agreed.
Yes. Well,
no other questions in the comments. Doesn't look like. No.
That was fun.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Yes.
thanks for coming.
Yammering and bullying each other about writing and stuff.
Bullying.
I will be carrying that on in Voxer. I used to give you more crap for not writing earlier this year, and then my life got busy, so you got lucky. But
Haha.
I won't forget.
Whatever.
And Neeks, I wish you luck on your book as well.
Oh,
Do you have
thank you.
an idea when this next revision will be done? Because it's in the R&R stage.
I have no. Last time I checked, because again, the agent is so nice and so kind. I checked in with her, maybe like middle of August, and she still had 47 manuscripts in front of mine. So I
Wow.
was like, okay,
Dang.
yeah, they're busy. I don't know if this wasn't part of the conversation, and I'll add it on very quickly. So if you are querying right now and you haven't heard back from someone, it's because they may be working from home, but more people decided during quarantine to write a book than normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
it's just slow.
busy. Busy.
Busy. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I will leave that at that now then. And if y'all have not already, these lovely ladies' channels are linked in the description box. And if you are not already to subscribe to them, if you click on their link, it will subscribe you automatically. So
Oh, snap.
yeah, I get fancy with my guests
Look
over
at
here.
you.
You don't have
Yeah.
to do any extra work. You just gotta go click on it. Channels, like it's gonna be like, you want to subscribe, and you're gonna be like, duh.
Obviously.
Like, I better, hello. I need to see Jashana's spreadsheets.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Hmm.